Hey, Brett Curry here, CEO of OMG Commerce. On the show today, my guest is Molly Pittman. And many of you know her, but Molly is the VP of Marketing for DigitalMarketer. And DigitalMarketer is the group that puts together the Traffic and Conversion Summit, the Content and Commerce Summit, which, by the way, is coming up in September. So September 18th through the 20th in Los Angeles. I'll be speaking at that event. Molly's going to be speaking at that event. Ryan Dice is speaking at that event, and lots of other big name e-commerce experts. And so check that out. But on this show, Molly and I dive into Facebook ads. Molly is an expert practitioner at running successful Facebook ads. And so we run through her checklist. This is her checklist she looks at before she launches a campaign. And it is a doozy. So lots of good examples and case studies, but we dive into things like offer and what the creative should entail. And we dive deep into audience targeting and some new things on Facebook. And so lots of good stuff here. I think you're really going to enjoy my interview with Molly Pittman. This episode of the E-Commerce Evolution podcast is brought to you by Zipify and Zipify Pages. If you are on Shopify, you need to check out Zipify Pages. It's an easy-to-use, customizable, drag-and-drop landing page builder. So now you can take your best marketing ideas, things you learned from the podcast, things you learned from Ezra Firestone, and utilize those in drag-and-drop fashion using Zipify Pages. Also check out one-click upsells. Visit zipify.com. Well, hello, and welcome to another edition of the E-Commerce Evolution podcast. I'm your host, Brett Curry, and I am thrilled to welcome to the show the famous, the highly esteemed Miss Molly Pittman, the VP of Marketing for DigitalMarketer, and also the co-host of a phenomenal podcast called Perpetual Traffic. I highly recommend you check that out. And so I know you're super busy. Molly, thank you so much for coming on the show.
Absolutely. Thanks for having me.
Yeah. And
excited to be here.
Good.
Thanks for the warm welcome.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, hey, I know most of the audience already knows you because they've gone to Traffic and Conversion or CNC or read your posts, or they're fanboys and fangirls of Molly, I'm sure. But for the few people that don't know you, do you mind giving just a little bit of a background? How did you kind of become a marketing superstar? How'd you get here?
Yeah. So interesting enough, I'm from Kentucky. I moved to Austin a little bit over 5 years ago, just looking for a change. And I found a Craigslist job posting for a paid internship in marketing. And I thought, okay, let's see what's going on over here. And this was actually before DigitalMarketer was really a brand. Traffic and Conversion Summit, had launched. But Ryan kind of had all of these companies, in one building, and they hired like 12 interns at one time. And we went through this 3-month program. We created different business plans for different companies that Ryan and Perry were thinking about launching, Survival Life being one of them, which is funny that that's now a real thing. But anyways, over time, they would let people go, and it was kind of like a game show. So
was this like Apprentice? Was it like Apprentice style, where one of them fired you guys at the end of each show? Okay.
Pretty much like at the end of every other week. And we all knew this was coming. Their goal here was to find people that would be, best suited for the company. At the end of the program, a few of us were placed in these different companies, and that's when I started working with DigitalMarketer. I think there were 4 or 5 of us at the time, and now here we sit.
Sweet. So now you are the VP of Marketing. You speak at TNC, and you'll be speaking at Content and Commerce, which is coming up in September in LA, right? You'll be speaking there, I assume.
Excited for that event, definitely.
Yeah, me as well. And so actually, quick plug for that event. OMG Commerce will be there. We'll have a booth, and I'm also speaking on day 2. And you get to hear Molly Pittman. And it's going to be. I'm really excited about that event. It's all e-commerce focused, and heard nothing but good about it. So I'm super excited to be there.
Yeah, I'm excited too. It's a good event, especially for people that are e-commerce or content focused.
Cool. So from responding to an ad in Craigslist all the way to that's crazy. I think
Craigslist is good for some things, right?
I know. Yeah, I think you just totally renewed everyone's interest in Craigslist ads, or at least made them think, maybe I could find the next Molly Pittman on Craigslist. I doubt it.
Just
But
like
hey, it's worth a
any
shot.
ad, it's all about the copy, right? So
Yeah.
the job posting was hilarious, but also really spoke to exactly what they were looking for. So I like to credit that ad copy.
Do you happen to have a copy of that ad? Because I'd love to post it in the show notes if we have it. I know that may be hard to dig
I
up.
wish I did. I've looked for it. I think Perry wrote it and it kind of got lost in the ether, but
No
I
worries.
have since wished I also had that ad.
Yeah, I'm sure it's a classic. That would be fun. Okay, well, good. Well, thank you for that background. Today we're going to be talking about Facebook ad campaigns and how to run successful campaigns for e-commerce. I love that we're covering this topic now, because just a few weeks ago I had Ezra on the show, and he kind of walked through some of his funnel and his approach, and it's such a big topic. We could talk about it for dozens of shows, and I love getting different people's perspectives on this. So I think maybe a good place to start is when you're creating a Facebook ad campaign, what is your checklist? Like, what are you going through? What are you trying to determine as you build out that campaign? Because I have this sneaking suspicion, because I talk to a lot of merchants and I observe what they're doing, that people say, hey, we know we need to be on Facebook, so let's just put a product ad up, or let's put an ad for the sales event or something like that. They just throw an ad up there without really thinking a lot about strategy or goals or how we're going to track it.
Yeah.
So what is Molly Pittman's checklist?
Yeah, no, good question. It's obviously a bit complex, but I'm really looking at 5 things. The first is, of course, the offer, right? So like you said, people will throw up an ad and, hey, we want to make people aware of our product or service, but simply making them aware of your product or service isn't always going to work unless you have an incredibly, novel product, right? Like, the other day I saw an ad for a ball that rolls around your house that has a camera in it that records your dog while you're at work, and you can watch from your computer.
That's exactly what I need.
So, yes, me too.
I would never watch that. I would never watch that.
My dog Larry probably just sleeps, but that's obviously a novel product. It's something that if you just see it, you're like, whoa, that's pretty cool. Right. But most of us are not selling novelty products. So we have to craft a good offer, right? And things that go into offer are, pricing, the why should people, actually buy this product or service, using a lead magnet or an entry point offer. So, the first thing is, I receive really good offers, right? And that's why I'm successful running traffic, is because I receive these really good offers, from people in the company. So the first thing you have to think of is that, right? None of this is going to work if you don't have a good offer. The second is, obviously ad copy. So why is this thing something that people should want? Ad copy does get overlooked a lot, right? So it sounds pretty basic, but I'm always thinking about different ways to appeal to the audience. Some people are more feelings based. Some people are more status egotistically driven, right? So thinking about different hooks and different reasons that people would want this offer, and making sure that your ad copy is really a reflection of that. Then we go into the creative.
And actually, let's dive into those two just really, really quickly, because the two are connected, right? Offer and ad copy are super connected. But I know with offer, you want to make people really have to like squirm to say no, right? Where they see this offer and it's almost irresistible. They have to click the button and at least check it out or whatever. But any rules of thumb or any things you look at to determine, is this a good offer or not? I know ultimately you have to test it, but anything you do to look at to say, hey, is this an offer worth running?
Yeah, I mean, does this offer actually transform someone, right? I mean, that's really what marketing is explaining that transformation from an undesirable before state to a desirable after state. So if you're making a promise that really provides that transformation, but also is irresistible, right? I saw an ad yesterday from a company called HUBBLE. And they, so it's a contact lens subscription service. And the ad was amazing. On the left-hand side, it had a bunch of dollar signs and boxes of contacts that you would usually get from the eye doctor, right? And then on the right-hand side was their contact lenses that looked very new and modern and cool. They were like turquoise. And the dollar signs were, there were less dollar signs than on the left-hand side, right? But the ad copy really spoke to, hey, are you tired of overpaying for these contact lenses, right? And then they went on to talk about, also that they were delivering these contact lenses. Oh, and, give us a shot. We'll give you a free month of lenses, right? So, they're not only solving a huge pain point in terms of the price of lenses, having to go pick them up at the store, but their offer was amazing. How can you say no to a free month? So, of course, all of this has to be tested, but really providing that transformation and making it hard for someone to say no, that's, in my opinion, what makes a great offer.
Yeah, that's great. That's great. I love it. Okay, great. So offer, ad copy, what's next?
Yeah, ad copy is just the articulation of that. Third is ad creative. This is something that people really get lazy with, I find. So they'll write great ad copy. They've got this offer and they go to set up their ad campaign and they just download a stock image or something, right? Not a lot of thought goes into the creative. That's why you see a lot of ads with like puppies or kittens or just like a woman sitting in a chair.
Or the worst is like the B2B where it's the people sitting around the boardroom or looking at a chart. Yeah, and it's like the same video you've seen on 100 different websites and that it's a stock. Yeah.
Yes. It's so frustrating because we're like 5 years past any of that type of stuff working, right?
Yes.
Not only are most of those images so unrelated to whatever the advertiser is actually selling, they're boring, right? And especially on ad platforms like Facebook or YouTube, people are scrolling through because they want to be entertained, right? So using stock images and images that, you're really are just there to catch someone's attention, but they don't qualify the audience, those just don't work any longer. So, we go through a big research process with our ad creatives back to the before and after, the psychology, why someone would want whatever, we're offering. And then we try to make a visual representation of that, right? And a lot of times it's very literal, but back to the contact example, on the left-hand side, it was your old school lenses and they were really expensive. On the right-hand side, they're showing these this new model of way, a way that you can buy these lenses and they're cheaper, right? So your creative doesn't have to be this beautiful piece of art. It should just be a visual representation of your ad copy, of why this offer is something that people really want. So putting a lot of time into that is important.
Yeah, and I think it can be fairly simple. I've been getting hit up by Nike a lot recently, and mainly because of remarketing. I've been looking at some new kicks, and so
get some fresh kicks.
I'm wanting some fresh kicks, and they are making it really, really hard to say no. So there's a few styles that I clicked on the site. I was totally digging them, and now I'm getting these the carousel ads with different Nike shoes in my Facebook feed, and it's like every single one I see, I like it, and so I've been clicking and interacting with it, and I know Facebook is tracking that, so Nike's able to track that. And then just yesterday, I'd been resisting, hadn't been buying anything, and then yesterday I got a $20 off offer showing up from Nike on Facebook. So I was like, yes, it pays to wait a little bit, and so but they're just product images,
right. Yeah, product images show why your product is something that people want, why it's interesting, especially with physical products. Video is a great way to do so. So it doesn't have to be rocket science, right? And a lot of it is just the demonstration of a product. I've been watching Quip, Q-U-I-P. So it's this new toothbrush. You should look it up on Facebook and like them or get pixeled on their site. Their ads are great. And it's a toothbrush, which everyone I hope has a toothbrush. It's a commodity, right? You would think it's hard to sell, but they've revolutionized a toothbrush and made it interesting through their video ads and even through their image-based ads. So I believe you can always make your creative more interesting than you think.
Yeah, and so when you're looking at creative, are you always saying, hey, we want a combination of interesting images and video? We always want to test video, or does it really just depend on the offer and what you're trying to do? Does that dictate the creative?
Yeah, it depends on what you're trying to do, especially with physical products. Usually video is better because you do want that demonstration, right? Like I'm even looking at an ad from Quip right now. And so basically the concept is it looks like a toothbrush. It's really slim, but it's also an electric toothbrush, right? So usually electric toothbrushes are big and bulky and you can't travel with them and they take up a bunch of space on your bathroom counter, right? So this is like really slim. It looks like a normal brush, but it still has that, movement that an electric toothbrush has. So the ad's like 5 seconds and it just has the brush and it's moving, right? It's vibrating. And it's kind of a mind shift because you're like, whoa, that looks like a normal toothbrush, but it's acting like an electric toothbrush, right? So in 5 seconds, they've shown you the benefit, the what's cool about this toothbrush. Same thing, there's an app called Wag. It's a dog walking app. I love their marketing. I actually just wrote a post on the Digital Marketer blog about it. And they run simple 5-second video ads and it shows a dog just sitting there. So of course that's going to actually catch the attention of people that like dogs. So they can use dogs, right?
Absolutely. Yeah. This is a good fit for the dog ad. Yes.
Right. And the dog's blinking and moving so it catches your attention. But in the bottom, it has this report card that any dog owner would be like, wow, there's a report card for my dog. So it's like, pee, poop, how long did they walk, in terms of distance, time, did the person lock your door? All they're doing is showing their product, which is an app, but it's really, really cool. They're demonstrating the benefits in 5 seconds.
Yep.
So yeah, it just really depends on what you're doing. We use a lot of images at Digital Marketer, but that's because we don't have a lot to show. But more on the survival life side, when we're selling makeup brushes, when we're selling physical products, we usually go for like a 5 to 10 second video ad.
Great. And why the 5 to 10 seconds on the video ad?
Just attention span, right? Us as humans, our attention span is getting shorter and shorter. And I actually, our partner manager at Facebook showed me a bunch of tests about how long people are actually watching videos, and it's usually not longer than 10 seconds. So, it's just because people aren't going to watch a long video unless, there really is a reason for them to do so. But also, I believe why, we as marketers should be able to show why our product or service is cool in 10 seconds or less.
Sure. I mean, I totally agree. And so especially if you got a physical product, I mean, you should be able to show the either before and after or the demo of, the toothbrush wiggling or whatever in that 10-second window. I mean, it's almost like the visual elevator pitch, when you're looking at your hook or your value proposition there. Now, when you're running a video, you're creating a video for Digital Marketer, so you're running a video for an event or for an info product or something like that, are you often testing longer videos there, or is that where you're looking at more image and graphic-based ads?
Yeah, for events, definitely for retargeting testimonials or any sizzle reels that we have, I don't put as much of a time limit on that stuff. Usually when we're going to cold traffic, I'm using image-based, just because I'm wanting the click, right? So something that you are compromising with a video ad is that when people click on the video, on the creative, it's just going to play the video, right? Or it's going to pop it open depending on what device you're on. So when using video ads, you are sacrificing clicks sometimes. So more in the awareness phase, when I'm looking to generate leads or I really want to get them to our site, I don't use as many video ads.
Got it. Okay, awesome. So we got offer, copy, creative. What's next?
Yes. So targeting. Again, something that people get really lazy about. It's at the ad set level on Facebook, so it's a little deeper into when you're setting up the campaign, and people just get too broad, right? You'll say we're selling yoga mats. Most people would go into Facebook and just type yoga, right? Target 30 million people
right.
and wonder why it's not working. So we put a lot of time and research into targeting here at Digital Marketer and really thinking about what books are these people reading, what blogs are they reading, what authority figures are they following, what tools do they use, where do they buy those tools, who makes them. I use the example of fishing a lot. And, imagining, say we were selling fishing rods, a lot of people would go into Facebook and just type fishing, right? And it's like, I'm going to get all the fishermen, but unfortunately it's just too broad. There are a lot of people in that interest that don't actually fish.
Right.
So if you're trying to reach the really avid core part of that market, you're really rabid people that love this, whatever you're selling, you got to get a little bit deeper. So looking at fishing tournaments that people might attend, or famous fishermen that, these people might be following, even looking at
Hardcore Fisherman magazine or something like that. I don't actually know that's a real magazine because I'm not a fisherman.
Yeah, right.
But something along those lines. Yeah.
Right. But even differentiating between fishing and just general outdoors people, right? So I was using this example and someone's like, okay, so you would target like Cabela's, which is an outdoor store. And I'm like, no, I wouldn't
start there. Way too broad. Yeah.
Right. Way too broad.
Because that's hunting and camping and, kayaking and all those things too.
It could incorporate so many different markets. So a lot of times when we go into a market, I don't know. Like, I have no idea who this person is and what their interests are. So I just really take to Google and start doing searches to figure out where are these people hanging out? Who do they follow? Where do they shop? Where do they get the tools that they're using in the market? I mean, no matter what market you're in, your people use tools to do whatever it is. I mean, even think about social media, right? Social media managers have tools like Hootsuite and BuzzSumo and Meet Edgar. So just really thinking about what people do in this market, who do they follow, and how can I reach them? And a lot of times it's just a few hours of Google searching, reading through forums, looking on Amazon. So really just trying to learn as much about them as possible.
That's awesome. So using Google as a research tool. And so there you're looking at things like top info sites and forums and just other companies selling what you're selling, things like that?
Yeah, and figuring out the language around it, right? So, for example, thinking about events in a market. Well, in fishing, they call them tournaments, right? So Googling like top fishing tournaments. In marketing, we call them conferences, right? So just really thinking about and figuring out what even is the language that these people are using. But a lot of times, I mean, if you searched top, yoga books, Google's going to return a whole slew of information, and I just start writing them down on a notepad and then see how many of them actually match up inside of the interests in Facebook or Twitter.
Awesome. Well, also gives you some good copy ideas too, right? Because you want to sound authentic and sound like you know that market, so it helps with that copy.
In terms of like what grade level are they speaking in? What weird terms do they use? For example, I was doing some research. We have a customer. She has a homesteading website, and her offer was a beginner's guide to raising baby chicks. And I was using her as an example and showing people how you can figure out all this information in just a few hours. So when I was writing the ad copy, I went into forums and did some research and figured out that they call a group of baby chicks a chattering of chicks.
A chattering.
A chattering.
I never knew that, man. I'm feeling very educated.
Right.
Very educated
I never knew
now.
that either. But if you are in that market and you do know that term, well, that ad copy immediately speaks to you, right? So those are all important things to figure out. And you can, read Amazon reviews of books or products in your market, or read through forums or blogs and make sure you nail down that terminology.
Very cool. So let's continue to dive into targeting, because this was fascinating to me. And really no one knows more about us as consumers as Facebook. And there's never been a time in the history of marketing where you can be as focused and as granular in your targeting as you can with Facebook. And I would argue that Google has gives you a lot of ability now to go even beyond the keyword and target at the audience level and some cool things too. But let's talk about Facebook some more in terms of, I want to talk about almost more like when you're getting started, and then maybe talk about some advanced stuff in a minute too. But if you're testing like your first audiences, so we've got this product, so we're selling a toothbrush, or we're selling this chick thing.
Yeah.
Yeah. So then what audiences should I test first? Am I like stacking a bunch of interests, stacking demos? Well, what should my first list look like?
Right. So I would recommend anywhere between 500,000 to 3 million people in each ad set. So I go through this research process and I might have 300 possible interests written down, right? Obviously, I'm not going to target all of those interests. So I'll just start creating ad sets. And I'm looking for that potential audience size because it's a real sweet spot to where Facebook has enough people in the audience that they can optimize for, but not too big to where they're like, I don't know who to target, right? Like when you're targeting 50 million people, unless you have a lot of data on your Facebook pixel, that's going to be hard for Facebook to get you any results. So yeah, when creating these ad sets, I recommend 500,000 to 3 million people, unless you're a local business. And I just start going through my list that I found through research, right? Different magazines, books, events, everything that we talked about. And I see, how many of those are matching up, inside of the detailed targeting box there in Facebook. And once I reach that potential audience size that I'm looking for, I'll just create a new ad set and keep going from there based off of how many I want to test. So I'm looking more at that potential reach.
Great. And then, if someone has a remarketing list or an email list, those are always great places to start too, right?
Oh, yeah.
To build lookalike audiences and things.
Totally. I always recommend anytime you have, owned data or any data on people who have already taken the action that you're wanting people to take, lookalike retargeting obviously is always our lowest cost per acquisition. So utilizing that data is really important. Creating lookalike audiences of people who have, visited your thank you pages and purchased your product already are great places to start if you have those. And I just wanted to say something too back on, you were talking about Facebook having so much data. And it's true. And obviously Google does too. It's interesting. Last year, Facebook and Google combined were responsible for 99% of the growth in digital ad spend. So it's
insane.
really becoming, I mean, they have 86% of the market total, right? Wow. So the other ad platforms are really fighting for that 14%. And you'll only see this continue. And the reason is because of the data. But a huge issue, and not even issue, a huge mind shift, mindset that I think advertisers, especially people who have been in marketing for a long time, need to think about is this idea of your avatar, right? So we just had an event here in Austin this past week, and I did a whole presentation about targeting, and I called on the first person who raised their hand and I asked them, who is your customer? What's your avatar? And she said, well, it's women. She's about 44. She has 2 kids. I called on the next person. He said, his avatar was, men in their 50s. And it's interesting because we've been taught to describe people based off of what they look like and how old they are. And there's nothing wrong with understanding those things about your audience, right? Especially when you're writing ad copy and you really imagining who this person is and how they feel and how you can, shift them from the before to after. But platforms like Facebook, have provided us with data that really make us look at our customers in a different way. So when I'm thinking about our customers at DigitalMarketer, I'm thinking way less about, their gender, their age, what they look like, what they do for a living, how much money they make. I'm thinking about what they're interested in, right? What books they're reading, what events they're attending, everything that we've been talking about. And I think if you can start to think about your customers in that way, based off of their actual intent, based off of their behavior, based off of the things they do, the people they talk to, the information they consume, it will help you become much better at social advertising and targeting, because you're not so stuck in the demographic information. Like at Survival Life, we always assumed that the people who, our ideal customer were older white men over the age of 50, right? Those were the people that were buying these knives and bug out bags and everything, which is true. It's absolutely true. But it's not the unique identifier of that market. And one time the media buyer there launched a Facebook campaign and she accidentally forgot to set the gender and age information inside of Facebook. And she found that the lowest cost per acquisition for that campaign was actually women in their 30s, right?
Really?
She's like, Molly, I can't believe it. And so
happy little accident there.
Absolutely. So anyways, a little Molly rant there, but it's really important to think about your people in terms of interests and what they're doing and what they like versus, demographic things like age and gender, because you can actually really limit yourself with that type of thinking.
Yeah, and if you think about just looking at age and gender, I mean, that's very old school. That's kind of like TV, radio days, which I cut my teeth there. I have nothing against
Yeah, well,
TV
and it's
radio,
all
but
we had, right?
right,
It's all
exactly.
we had. Now we have more.
Yep. Behavioral data and actions that people take and what they're doing. That's the kind of stuff that indicates, and then that's where you would find that, hey, actually, there are women in their 30s that love this survival stuff. They're wanting self-defense preparation or whatever the case may be. And so I love that. Let's talk then, let's get advanced as well. And any kind of ninja tactics or anything new that Facebook allows now in terms of targeting?
A few things they have. I was just split testing a few months ago. They launched the expand interest box. It's just a little checkbox. And I've actually found that it's producing some really low really low CPAs for us. So basically it's telling Facebook that, okay, I want to target these people, but if you find other people that are converting that are similar to the ones that are already converting, feel free to expand outside of the interests that I've chosen. So it's just showing that Facebook's getting even smarter. So I definitely recommend checking that box. They also recently launched the ability to upload custom audiences based off of lifetime value of a customer. So we're seeing great results from that, uploading our highest valued customers, creating a lookalike audience off of that. So, I mean, it's the same as it has been the past, 6 or 7 years, right? But so much different too. So they're always, launching new, new features that make the platform smarter, that allow us to reach more people that are most like the ones that have already converted.
Great. Anything you can speak to about audience fatigue potentially? We've just seen this with a few clients where, you run an ad set, you target an audience, it goes gangbusters for a while, you're selling a ton of stuff, and then it cools off. Thoughts there? Like how long do you usually let that run? Do you ever try to reuse that list later, let it cool off and then hit it again? Or any thoughts there?
We will let things cool off and retarget them a few months later. In terms of how long things usually work or how long we let them run, it's definitely going to depend on your budget and the audience size and the frequency. But I kind of like to explain it. Most people think about scaling in a horizontal way. So they'll find one audience that's working and they just keep increasing the budget until it quits working, right? And there's nothing wrong with that. And we definitely do that. But I'm always scaling horizontally too. So when I find an audience that works, whether it's a lookalike audience or a group of interests, I will go and find more interests that are most like the ones that are working. So if you've input a few into Facebook, and then you go click, back inside of that box, Facebook will start recommending other interests that are most like the ones you've already entered. So I'll just start creating new ad sets. So new lookalike audiences, new groups of interests that are most like the ones that are working. And usually if you have an ad that's converting, simply showing it to more people is going to give you the scale that you want.
Yeah, it totally makes sense. Now, I know Ezra follows a system where, pick your audience and then you measure how someone engages with your ad. So do they watch X% of your video? Do they click and like and engage with the post? And if they do, building a new list based on that engagement, retargeting them with either another offer or the same offer. What does that look like for you guys?
Yeah, definitely. We'll run traffic to a blog post to educate first, build an audience of people who have read that post, retarget them. We'll run a video ad that educates or sparks some interest and retarget people that watch that. So yeah, I'm definitely a fan of a value first approach and retargeting those people.
Gotcha. And I heard you guys mention something on the Perpetual Traffic podcast about the need, and this was kind of speculation because Facebook won't confirm it, but the need to have people engage with your posts more. So if you get more engagement on your posts, that actually can lower your cost per acquisition over time.
Yeah, definitely. So Facebook's looking at a relevance score. So looking at, basically the ratio of people that are liking, commenting, and sharing your post. So the higher that score, the lower your cost, and the more people that Facebook's going to show your ad to. And it makes sense because it's a social platform. They want people to see ads that they're actually interested in, right? This isn't like display advertising. So a lot of that just has to do with the messaging, who you're showing the ad to, and really trying to make sure your ad is relevant so that people engage.
Yeah, that's awesome. And it really sounds a lot like Google AdWords quality score, right? Which
absolutely,
there are three elements of quality score, but really Google cares about click-through rate. Like that's the holy grail. That's like the engagement.
And that's what's important to them, right? Yeah. They're looking at clicks, and Facebook's, wants people to spend more time. Yep. But something that I found with the introduction of Facebook Messenger ads, there's a tool called ManyChat, and they have a growth tool that's called Comment to Messenger. And basically it allows you to, when someone comments on your ad, it immediately opens a messenger conversation. So for example, we have a customer who sells clothing, and he asks people to comment on the ad, and he'll send them, a coupon code in Messenger. Well, it not only works well because it's frictionless and he's selling products, right? But it also increases that relevance score because instead of, 10 comments of people that are like, oh, I like that shirt, or, tagging their friends, you have 1,000 comments of people that are commenting to get that coupon code. So
that's awesome.
It's another great way to boost that score.
So you get the comments, you actually get the coupon code distributed, but you're also helping your future ads and that ad do better as well. Now let's talk about Messenger just really quickly. I know we're kind of still on the targeting, and we've got another in the 5 checklist, but I want to talk about this here because I think it fits. That seems like a pretty wide open space right now, and I know things are just being developed with chatbots and all, ads available in Messenger and things like that. But anything you'd want to point out in terms of how we can utilize Messenger as marketers? I think what you just shared was awesome. And do you mind repeating the that app again?
Yeah, ManyChat, ManyChat. It's really inexpensive and it's great. That would be one of the growth tools I recommend starting with. The thing with Messenger is everyone's lumping messenger marketing in with chatbots, and they're obviously similar, right? But it can be really scary if you're like, oh, I have to build a chatbot, right? And right now, I mean, to build an actual bot that's does what you want it to, it can be really expensive and time consuming. So if you start to think about how can I use Messenger from a marketing sense without building a fleshed out bot, I think the barrier to entry is a lot lower. So yeah, things like the comment to message, retargeting people who visited your sales page but didn't buy, asking if they have questions, that's worked really well for us. It's kind of like live chat on a sales page, but it follows people around because usually they might have questions after they've already left your site, right? So if you have someone that can man Facebook Messenger, that's a great use case. Also, just simply integrating Messenger in your sales process, your checkout process. I know Shopify has an integration where you can send people, their confirmation and shipping notifications through Messenger. It's great because then they become a subscriber and you can start to send Messenger broadcasts. So yeah, I think there are a few, low commitment ways to use Messenger that are really powerful.
Yeah, I love that, and I totally agree. I think the chat bot technology very interesting. I do think that is going to grow and going to be very effective as in the future. But I was at Internet Retailer. I spoke there in June of this year, and I talked to a couple of chatbot companies, and it seems like all of them are designed where yeah, you kind of get it started, but it's machine learning, so it kind of learns as it goes. And really, as you kind of read between the lines, it sounds like your initial implementation of that will probably be either very limited or it will kind of suck.
Yeah.
And so it'll get better later. So yeah, maybe taking a leap into that right now is not that important. But what you're talking about with that app and other approaches is maybe a better.
Yeah, they're making it easier.
Yep.
Absolutely.
Yep. Very cool. Very cool. Okay. So awesome. So we got offer, copy, creative targeting.
Yes.
What's number 5?
And then the last one's pretty simple, but AdSense, right? It's something that seems like common sense, and it is. But when you get so close to this stuff, you can make a huge mistake here. So really just ensuring that there's congruency between your ad and the landing page where you're sending traffic to. This is, again, a big mistake I see people make. For example, I use this a lot, but I was Googling something about Disney, and there was an AdWords ad, and they were offering, if you book 3 nights, they'll give you a 4th night for free. I clicked on the ad. I went over to the landing page, and there was no mention of that offer.
It's the worst. Right? It's the worst.
And it's Disney, right? I saw Whole Foods do this the other day. And again, it seems like common sense, but it's so important because people forget the relationship that your traffic campaign has with your landing page and your sales funnel. If you were able to double the conversion rate on your landing page, that would cut your cost per acquisition from your traffic campaign in half without ever touching your ads, right? So they're directly related. So just making sure that you maintain consistency in design when you can. Ad copy, a lot of times the ad copy in our ad will be identical to what's on the landing page. And of course the offer. So really just making sure that you're always aware of that relationship and working on optimizing your pages and not just your traffic campaigns.
Yeah, we see that all the time as well, and we focus primarily on Google. That's kind of our specialty, but we see that a lot. Yeah, you've got this killer offer, someone clicks on the ad, and they get to that landing page. And I think the response, if they don't seek confirmation of that offer, they may think, oh crap, I clicked on the wrong ad. Like I was looking at an ad that had a discount, and then they go back and look for it, or they say, okay, now you're making me work for this, and I really don't want to work for this, so I'm just going to bail.
Absolutely, and it's funny. I had someone come up to me at this event a few days ago, and they said, Molly, Facebook is so expensive. I'm paying $50 for a lead, and it's Facebook. It's just so expensive. And I said, okay, well, what's your conversion rate on your landing page? They're sending to a squeeze page to generate leads. Well, it was 3%. And I said, okay, well, it's not Facebook that's necessarily expensive. It's just you're having to drive a ton of clicks, right? You're having to pay for a ton of clicks, to actually generate a lead, right? What if it was 30%? Your cost per lead would reduce, tenfold.
Yeah.
So just always thinking about that is so important.
Yeah. So maybe you can get better engagement and create better ads, and so you can lower that cost per click or cost per engagement. But really, then once you get some of that landing page, increasing the conversion rate, that's a great way to affect your CPA and bring that down. So that's awesome. I want to just hit kind of a couple other random Facebook ad related questions. So may kind of go rapid fire through some of these.
Yeah, let's do it.
So you talked about video ads, and I know you gave some great tips already. So we talked about, the 9 to 10 second video is often what Facebook has recommended based on people's engagement, and the fact that we have attention spans of gnats, which is really sad in some ways, but we don't have to go there.
Yeah.
Other tips though on how do you make a video ad really effective?
Yeah, I mean, honestly, a lot of it is back to ad copy, right? To me, a video is ad copy in visual form. So just really thinking about how in this video can I show the transformation from before to after? How can I show the unique, reasons why this product is good? Always using captions is great because a lot of people are watching, video without any sound, and not trying to make the video too long. If you're not showing people what's cool or catching their attention in the first 3 seconds, they're gone, right? So don't overthink it. A lot of people overthink video ads, and really that 5 to 10 second just punch, this is why this is something you should care about. That's what always works best.
That's great. That's great. What about production quality? Any insights there? Do we need to have a full production team? Do we just need to have our iPhone?
No. Yeah, iPhone. Even Facebook is recommending just use your iPhone, right? It doesn't have to be that difficult. There's a service called Animoto you've probably heard of.
Yep.
It's great for creating videos. So yeah, don't make it too complicated. And even a lot of times, lower quality videos, they'll actually perform better because they fit in more with the platform, right? Usually when you're scrolling through your feed, you're seeing a video that, your buddy took of his barbecue on his phone. So it's what people are used to. So I wouldn't overdo it.
So Instagram, are you always running your ads on Instagram as well, or are you just targeting Facebook?
Yeah, Instagram, especially the past few months, is performing really well for us. So I really just see it as another placement on Facebook. Obviously, you do want to be aware that it's a more visual platform and people use it a bit different than Facebook. But yeah, it's been working great for us.
Great.
Especially for physical products.
Yeah, it totally makes sense. Any tips you would give on the Instagram platform? Because I know it kind of grew out of just good photography and people do go there to look at beautiful images and things like that. But any tips on Instagram?
Yeah, I mean, just basically realizing that your creative is obviously much more important on Instagram than Facebook. And again, it doesn't have to be professional photography. I was scrolling through my feed earlier, and there's an app called Soothe. They do massage therapists to your home, and they had a beautiful ad, and it was just like a 5 to 10 second video of someone giving someone else a massage. But the movement of the video really caught my attention. Obviously, I could understand the benefit and what was going on, and that was enough for me. I clicked and downloaded the app. So
awesome.
Really same principle, it's just different application.
Cool. Any cool Facebook announcements or any juicy Facebook gossip right now?
Not that I can think of. I think they're to a place of real stability now where they're not having to roll out new features every week, right?
Right.
I think we will always see enhancements. I know they're dedicated to that. But most of the new things that I've seen have just been, real additions to what we already have. So, not much juicy gossip. I think a lot of people are freaking out because the news is reporting, Facebook's running out of space, right? They're running out of inventory, which is true. And that's what happens on any ad platform.
Yep.
The costs are going to rise. That's why relevance score is so important. They want to show the ad that's best fit for the audience. But I think you'll see more ad placements over time, more ads in Messenger. They're going to find other places to show ads so that there, is more inventory.
Yeah, it really just raises the bar, right? It just, again, rewards.
Yeah, I love it.
Yeah, it's going to make it imperative that you're good at what you do, right? So to make the Google comparison, the days of 5-cent AdWords clicks, those days are gone for Facebook, right? So it's becoming more mature. It's staggering how much it's grown in the last 5 years.
Facebook is going to follow in Google's footsteps in a lot of those, the development. It will become more expensive. I guarantee every single year we will look and say Facebook is more expensive, but I see that as an advantage,
Absolutely.
right? If you're good at marketing, you should see that as an absolute advantage.
Because your competitors can't afford to do it. And I don't remember who this quote originated from. I know I've heard Ryan Deiss mention it before, but he who, or the person that can spend the most to acquire a customer wins. Dan Kennedy.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, he or she who can spend the most to acquire a customer wins. So a lot of that is thinking about how much can I pay for a customer, right? What is my lifetime value? What's my overhead? And really calculating so that you look at it less from a fear-based mindset of, oh my goodness, this is so expensive, to, I can pay more, and my competitors can't.
Right. Yeah. And that's a beautiful thing. And so, Facebook's going to continue to grow. I think there's still a lot of large advertisers that only have a fraction of their budget in Facebook, and that's only going to grow and increase. I think there's going to continue to be a shift of money from, traditional national TV that's going to be shifting into Facebook, and that's going to raise the price for everybody. But there's still a lot of room to grow. I still think it's an inexpensive platform if you do it the right way. So I'm still pretty excited about where we are right now with Facebook, and even where we're going to be as it grows. So yeah. Cool. Well, Molly, this has been fantastic. It's been so fun and extremely informative. So for those that say, okay, holy cow, I've got to read everything Molly writes, I've got to follow her everywhere, how can people keep up with you on the web?
Yeah, just check out the Digital Marketer website, Facebook page, Twitter. I don't have a Twitter. I don't know why. I just never have. So yeah, all of my blog posts and things are posted at on DM's website, but mostly the podcast, right? That's where we show up every week and talk about this stuff. So
yep, check out Perpetual Traffic. Search for that in your favorite podcast app, or search for it online. And so with that, Molly, thank you. It's been a ton of fun.
Thank you, Brett. Thanks for having me on.
You bet. And so again, one quick plug, Content and Commerce Summit, September 18th through the 20th in Los Angeles. We'll link to that page in the show notes, so ecommerceevolution.com. And as always, thank you for tuning in.